Yo guys, it's slyroh. You already know that today we are back playing some more Danganronpa 2 as we are continuing on with the Danganronpa IF novel, and I believe we should be coming up on the end, but of course I won't promise that because I have learned my lesson about promising the end of Danganronpa stories to then be proven wrong. So I don't want to set expectations for myself and then get impatient when they're not happening. So I'm just saying it's possible that we do finish the novel today, and it's possible that we don't. But I am sort of expecting that we do. But yeah, there's some pretty intense stuff happening. Mukuro is making an escape from the school, but there's a whole bunch of Monokuma plushies with bombs going off, and it's a real intense scene. So let's go ahead and just continue on, and then yeah, we'll see how much of this episode the novel takes up. Hopefully it lasts one more whole episode, because then that'll be a nice break before we start island mode. But if this ends in like 5-10 minutes, then I'll be forced to just start island mode right away. So we'll see what happens. But we're in the Monokuma room. There they saw 50 Monokumas standing in 2 rows along the walls of the hallway, and one standing at the very end of the hall. There was something strange on top of this Monokuma's head, and a large version of the escape button that Makoto had tamed from the Mono machine. I think this actually put me back a little bit. Announcement rang throughout the school. As a button on top of the... Oh, yeah, wait, hold up. I think this put me back a little bit, because I left and I put a bookmark in, but maybe it did not... yeah, we've already read this. Hold up. Remain calm. Alright, let's skip through a few pages. I don't want to go past what happened. But for some reason it started me here. But this is very close as to where we left off. Graduation exam. Yeah, this is a graduation exam, and somebody needs to get to the end. But the burns on to their body might be fatal. Lungs might be completely incinerated by the scorched air before that. Even if they sacrifice one student to run through, the odds were low that they would even succeed. There's no reason for every student to run at once either. Shadow of Despair. Okay. Sakura stepped forward. I'll do it. Yeah. So Sakura wanted to do it, and then as they're kind of arguing, yeah, Mondo said that he could do it with the motorcycle, but then Mukuro's just like, no, it has to be me. And then as they're kind of talking about it, it kind of just starts happening, and then Mukuro just sort of like rushes off. So let's go ahead and get that point. As soon as it starts getting hype music again is when it should be. War Machine, yeah. Thank you. Yep. This is all stuff we've read. I don't know why it set me back a little bit. But I don't know. It is what it is. Alright, I'm going to start the exam now. Ready, set, go. There was no time for questions or objections. Fromos Monokuma exploded, sending a roaring wave of heat through the hall. Mukuro did not look away. She began moving, powered by resolute determination. Here is where we should be entering new stuff. Yeah, this is where I thought we were. So I don't know why it sent me back to the last time, but yeah, it should be fine. As soon as the graduation exam started, the mastermind focused her control entirely on the Monokuma holding the escape button, and completely synchronized her field of vision with it. Okay. She knew what was going to happen next. She could predict what her sister Mukuro would do in this exact situation, where she would choose to focus her superhuman skill with weaponry, and so, through Monokuma's eyes, she watched the scene unfold exactly as she had predicted. A pointed metal bar burst through the explosions, heading straight for the weak point of the Monokuma holding the escape button. Specifically, it was aiming for the point where the bomb's detonation system and Monokuma's power source overlapped. It flew straight and true, as if it had been fired by a master archer. In order to bring despair to Monokuma, and by extension Junko as well, the super soldier known as Mukuro Ikusawa threw the pipe like a spear so it could attack the same weak point she had pierced in the nurse's office. As explosions filled the hallway until only fire remained visible, the spear's speed and precision as it soared to its target defied all human logic. But the mastermind knew. She knew Mukuro had used her power to fill the world with despair. Power was all that disappointing girl had. But that power was useless against Monokuma. The mastermind had predicted that Mukuro would put all her effort into that throw, and Monokuma caught the metal bar perfectly between his hands. Ooh, how? That's impressive. The force of the throw knocked Monokuma back several yards, but the pointed end of the bar never pierced through his chest. Well, that was disappointing. The mastermind turned to look at a different monitor. She wanted to see the look on Mukuro's face when she realized that she failed to strike Monokuma. Mukuro's definitely going to have another plan up her sleeve. The despair of seeing the final Monokuma explode right before her eyes, completely obliterating the escape button. She wanted to sear this memory of her disappointing sister's final moments as her newfound hope sank into a dark pit of despair. On instinct, she turned her attention to the surveillance camera that hadn't been destroyed, but instead of seeing Mukuro and the others, she only saw Sakura, who looked as though she had finished launching an attack. She only thought it was strange for 1 second, but then the hopelessly powerful mastermind completely understood the situation and shifted her point of view to Monokuma. But because of that single second, Junko would just feel a pang of despair. Ooh, what did Sakura do? 3 seconds left. Amid the smoke, flames, and heat encircling the hallway, it burst through with the speed of a cannon shell. It glared at Monokuma with hot, boiling eyes that betrayed the icy expression on his face, and then, sharply, swiftly, strongly, it transformed into a living weapon that cut through everything, revealing its true form in that hall of despair. 2 seconds left. Monokuma, who was still holding the metal bar in his hands, tried to move, but at that exact moment, the living weapon carved a path through the flames and appeared before him. Its body, which had never been wounded on any battlefield, was sustaining all manner of burns and injuries. But even so, it did not falter. The fire in its eyes never flickered once. 1 second left. The living weapon, Mukuro, slammed her knee into the back of the metal bar Monokuma was holding. The sharp tip of that metal bar pierced through Monokuma like a rail spike, shredding the detonator and his power source into pieces. Time's up. The 100 explosions ceased, and smoke blanketed the hallway. Mukuro had dived into Monokuma, and the pristine escape button now rested in her hand. She got it. And she was able to keep the Monokuma at the end from blowing up in her face. That's so good. She and the other students of Host Peak Academy had passed the graduation exam. It was only a small amount of despair. Monokuma had tasted it only 3 seconds. First floor hallway. Junko. Mukuro looked down at Monokuma. He could no longer move or self-destruct. When she spoke to him, a static-filled noise emitted from his mouth. It seemed his communication function still worked. Pooh-hoo-hoo. I never expected you to do that. He still sounded like Monokuma. It seems his voice modulator was unharmed as well. I must have overestimated you. I never thought you'd need anybody's help on the battlefield. When I give the signal, please launch me forward with a roundhouse kick. Mukuro whispered these words to Sakura just before the explosion started. Okay, I was like, I didn't know who was giving these things. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so Sakura was the one that launched her forward. I wasn't quite putting that together. Oh, got it. After Mukuro threw the metal bar, she jumped into the air at the exact moment Sakura unleashed a roundhouse kick. Right when Sakura's foot made contact with her own, Mukuro used the force generated by her kick to propel herself at Monokuma. Using the ultimate martial artist superhuman attack like a springboard, she shot herself through the air like an artillery shell. That's crazy. Big brain plays. Enduring intense heat, shrapnel, and blood-draining G-force, she stayed conscious as she charged through the hallway, engulfed with explosions and despair. Mukuro trusted Junko. She trusted Junko to predict that she'd throw the metal bar and catch it accordingly. Then she tried to look at her face as the despair sets in. The Junko Inoshima she knew would definitely do that. Get out predicted! Although Mukuro hadn't predicted that her sister would try to kill her with the spears of Gungnir, then she had a better understanding of her actions now. As Mukuro stared Monokuma in his face, all he could do was laugh scornfully. You put your life in someone else's hands for a deadly battle? I don't know how I feel about that. It'll always be a half-assed disappointment. I guess this time I'll just say I lost because I didn't see this much disappointment coming. The end. Mukuro shook her head at Monokuma. No, you're wrong, Junko. Huh? If you want to talk about winning or losing, I think we lost before you even started. Mukuro's eyes shifted from side to side as if she was unsure of something, and she fidgeted in place as she continued to talk. No matter how much despair they felt, you didn't think they'd kill each other the way they were before. That's why you erased their memories. They aren't like the others you forced in the past. You knew these students would never do it. That's what you believed, isn't it? What are you talking about? So, it's okay, Junko. I'll bring back everyone's memories someday, and I'll show you everyone's happiness and their bonds. I'll show all that to you and fill you with even more despair. Mukuro nodded after she said this, as if to cheer her sister up. After several seconds of silence, Monokuma responded. You finally beat me this one time, and that lame speech is the best you can do? You're such a disappointment. You never fill me with despair. It's just constant disappointment. After pouting the sore loser, Monokuma continued to speak in his usual tone. But you guys will be back. And when that time comes, I'll invite you guys to a wonderful place. I found out about this fun island while I was running things here. Hoo. Monokuma's laughter filled the room before the static finally cut out and his remains fell silent. He wouldn't be talking again anytime soon. The mastermind was already preparing a new despair to bring to the world, and to the students of Hope Speak Academy, Junko included. In the end, the mastermind stayed in her Monokuma persona until the very end, and Junko Inoshima never showed her face again. It was as if she resented the despair Mukuro had given her. That thought almost filled Mukuro with despair. But when she heard her classmates calling for her, she sealed that despair into the depths of her heart. From now on, she would seal away all her despair. And one day, when she can give Junko the perfect despair, she'll unleash all the despair she stored and plunge with her sister into a dark abyss. I won't leave my little sister alone. In the end, that was the first hope the disappointing older sister had felt since she was a child. Several hours later, main entrance. Mukuro, are you really gonna go out wearing that wig? After receiving a blood transfusion of the correct blood type, Makoto was beginning to show signs of recovering. Okay. Mukuro, holding her wig to disguise herself as Junko Inoshima, nodded. If I lose Junko, I might be able to understand her better. I don't know about that. Despite that, Mukuro's voice still sounded like her own, as if she hadn't fully decided. And I made up my mind. While I'm out there, I've decided I'll accept everyone's hatred toward me, and toward Junko. I can't die until I've destroyed all the despair that Junko had spread. The damage that ultimate despair inflicted upon the world could not be measured in terms of money, culture, or even human life. Television broadcasts had already begun informing people that Junko Inoshima and Mukuro Ikusaba were the heart of ultimate despair. Among the survivors in the outside world, there are still people who hadn't been tainted by despair yet. Regardless of the fact that she released Makoto and the others to the survivors, she was nothing more than the reason the world ended. And to the terrorists wearing Monokuma masks who continued to ravage the world, Mukuro was nothing but a traitor. She was now in the hopeless situation of being enemies with most of humanity. But Mukuro wasn't making a big deal out of it. I'm going to try not to kill anyone who comes after me for revenge. Wouldn't it be safer to just turn yourself in? Wondered Yasuhiro. Well, you might just get executed instead. But you could live to be an old lady if your trial keeps getting pushed back. Mukuro slowly shook her head at Yasuhiro. Laws, justice, these things no longer exist. Is it really that bad out there? Maybe we should just stay in here. Byakuya glared at Yasuhiro with contempt. Ignorant idiots should just shut up. Your fate won't change whether you stay in here or not. Though he was shocked to learn the Tagami Corporation had been destroyed, Byakuya continued to remain firm and proud, even toward Mukuro. You are a rare asset, continued Byakuya, so I'll let you live for now. Depending on your actions, I may consider forgiving your crimes after I build a new world. Only a Tagami would boast that they're capable of forgiving the crime of ending the world. You don't need to do that. I don't plan on just surviving. After turning away from Byakuya, Mukuro looked at the other students. Everyone was reacting in their own way. Kyoko had a look of quiet preparation. Toko, having just changed back from Genocide Jack, was panicked and confused. Mukuro looked back on the 2 years she spent with them, then turned to Makoto, who shared the same memories as her, and gave him the escape button. That's actually really funny. In this scenario, Toko, I'm trying to think the events that happened. I think Toko saw Makoto run and all kind of sacrifice himself, although he didn't die, for Mukuro dressed up as Junko. And then her secret was revealed, and then she's just been out of it ever since. She missed out on the entire Monokuma hallway sequence. She, I guess, was not a part of the conversation where Makoto was talking to all of them about all the memories that they had with each other. She was just out of it for all of that. Makoto, you press it. Huh, me? I think it's better if you press it instead of me. As she watched Makoto accept the button with some hesitation, Mukuro thought about what Monokuma had said. You guys will be back. Mukuro knew that Monokuma was telling the truth. After all, the file the students needed to fully restore their lost memories remained hidden in the academy. Really? Okay. It's never been fully explained in terms of how any of the memories get messed with. I know in this game it was, just because it's a video game world, and so a lot of things could be messed with. But in terms of the original first game, I don't know that it was ever really stated exactly how you could just take a specific set of memories. And apparently you need a file to get it back. Do they need to read the stuff to unlock the memories of some sort? It's interesting. I'm not entirely sure. The research notes of Yasuke Matsuda, the ultimate neurologist. Nice. His research is the key to restoring everyone's memories. Oh, okay, well, I maybe just got my answer. Maybe this guy was under the effects of ultimate despair and then basically used that to do the opposite of restoring everyone's memories and take them away. But he also had the research to put them all back, I guess. Even if the students no longer have their memories, they may be able to repair the bonds that they had built among themselves over the past 2 years. But as long as their memories remain unrestored, the mastermind could still repeat her deadly plan. Although the island mentioned earlier sounded strange, students could not turn their backs on the despair facing them. Then let's go. Makoto remembered everything that was happening in the outside world. The boy who had chosen to remain inside the academy 2 years ago was now choosing to leave. How much did he struggle to come to that decision? But he was determined to face the despair awaiting him outside, and hid his internal conflict from the others. By protecting Makoto's hope, Mukuro would bring despair to her beloved sister. But she no longer knew if the end result of her goal would lead to hope or despair. She pulled the wig over her head and hid her face with her hands. Was she smiling because hope was waiting for her, or was she crying because her path would lead to despair? When she lowered her hands, her face was devoid of all emotion. Mukuro no longer knew what expression she would wear on her face. At the same time, Makoto pressed the escape button. A siren began to wail as the turrets retracted into the ceiling. From beyond the heavy door, a bright light appeared. An infinite number of ifs, and all the possibilities contained therein encased the world. Accepting everything, hope, despair, and even the feelings of that disappointing girl, Mukuro Ikusaba. Oh, it gets a little cutscene, too, of everybody leaving. That's cool. They didn't need to do that, but they did. And I like that. I like that a lot. It's not like a whole lot of effort, I imagine. But, you know, they had all the words on the page, and then you get a little cutscene type thing right at the end. And again, still in this what-if scenario, they're all able to walk out of the school and not immediately die to the air. So I'm not entirely sure that the air was ever a real problem. I have no idea. But it doesn't seem like it. But, alright, that is Danganronpa IF. I'm probably just going to keep this one as a short video. That way I can start Island Mode as its, you know, own episode. It's weird to kind of combine them. And, yeah, so that was really cool. I like, I don't know, I like this sort of what-if scenario. And I'm sure they could make so many of these if they really, really wanted to. I think they were able to flesh out Mukuro a little bit more, despite the fact that this isn't a canon story. I assume that they take parts of what is her real personality and kind of expand on that in this what-if scenario. So I think that's pretty interesting how they managed to do that. Even if this isn't any sort of canon timeline, you still get to sort of understand Mukuro and even Junko a little bit more as well. So I think that's just really cool. You can kind of see their mindsets, and it's pretty interesting. I think I'm starting to understand... I feel like I'm continuing to understand how Ultimate Despair works a little bit more, even if it isn't like a very specific scientific process. I feel like I'm starting to understand, and I'm again starting to wonder if the way to overcome the Ultimate Despair is like through your own hope or through hope guided from the others. So Ultimate Despair might be something that you have to break yourself out of. Which is interesting, which is maybe something that the characters from Danganronpa 2 are going to have to do, the ones that survived. So, I don't know, very interesting stuff, very cool. I am glad I read this. I'm not one for reading, and I feel like I followed the story for the most part, so this was really, really cool. Hopefully you all enjoyed this reading here. There will be more reading in the future. See the thing on the top about the following novel contains references to Danganronpa 0. I do plan on reading Danganronpa 0 eventually in the future. I've already sort of committed that once I'm done with this game, I'm just going to move on to Ultra Despair Girls. But then I know, I guess after that or at some point, I need to watch the Danganronpa 3 anime. And I don't really plan on uploading, like, you know, I can't just like upload anime reactions. That's not really my thing. So there is going to have to be something that takes up a chunk of time. And so I might get some Danganronpa 0 content in there. We will see. But we still have Island Mode to do, so hopefully y'all join me for that. If you've lasted this long, I assume you are, and you will. And that should be a lot of fun. We can get back to the characters of this game. And yeah, should be a lot of fun. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. So until then, peace out.